Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters. First time I've ever forgotten to really do that before the bumper's finished. But there you go. It is now time to find out who is going to be our first player moving on to Shenzhen. And it is between two quite fearsome opponents in Snute and Uthermal, who has had quite the run here so far.
No, he has had a remarkable run, and not just the fact that he has won a couple of games, but the way that he has won them. He's looked very convincing, very dominant in his series. On the other end, we've got Snute, one of the absolute best foreigners we've had over the last 2-3 years of StarCraft. But of course, he comes off one of the biggest disappointments in his career, losing in the round of 32 of WCS. He wants to forget about that, James, and what better way to forget about something like that than just stomping your way through an IEM qualifier.
Yeah, he's always done very well in these qualifiers, and let's see if he can continue the trend. Let's get into things, as we do have Echo, our first map between these two.
Yeah, now that you say it, I actually wonder when is the last time that Snute did not qualify for the Intel Extreme Masters when he actually tried. Because I felt like he has pretty much qualified every single time he has tried over the last 4 or 5 IEMs.
Very rare. I think the only time was when we had the World Championship, and he narrowly got pipped at the post by people like, I think it was
Fantasy and stuff. Yeah.
Cure, I think. So
Yeah, I remember that one, the one in Poland, you mean, right? Earlier this year.
yeah, like
Yeah, okay, but
the
those,
biggest one.
But those were open to all the Koreans as well,
Yeah, exactly.
including, you know, like but an exclusive European qualifier,
Oh, no,
where
he
of course
almost
you have a 4GG signing up if he truly wants to, or maybe well, but he has pretty much always qualified for these, even in the day and age where we had a lot of Koreans living in Germany back then with MC and the other guys. I felt like even back then Snute was already qualifying more often than not when it comes to events like this.
Definitely. He had an amazing run, in fact, during that where I think he beat MC, I think he beat First, and I think he beat Yoda all the way through, if you recall.
I remember that he actually won it as well throughout the winner bracket. Anyways, we are loaded into game number 1, as you guys can see. Over here on the left top side of the map, our Dutch Terran.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Normally I see the base when I do my introduction, James. Jeez, just throwing me off my element. It is Uthermal.
Dun, dun.
Bam, bam, bam. Dutch hype. I like that somebody liked my comment about the Dutch economy and all the meals. Somebody tweeted it out. I thought it was very, very clever by me as well.
It was good.
Every now and then I say something that's like, man, that was not bad.
And spawn down the bottom right-hand corner, of course, we have our red Zerg. It is Snute, as we do have this drone being very, very pesky already, which I really wasn't expecting, to be honest.
Pesky, that's a very day 9-ish word of you.
Pesky guy.
This pesky little SCV just chipping away at these drones can be oh so annoying.
Oh no, I know where this is going.
And that was like Nathaniel's impression of
yeah,
of day 9. It was really good.
I think it was actually during this map as well, if I recall the VOD.
Yeah,
because
and actually like on this area as well, on the top side of the map.
Yeah. I remember Todd linking me this and telling me about your lovely impressions. It was brilliant. I laughed a lot.
Ah, yeah, we're just trying to make it more than what it is. Having some fun with the boys every now and then. Actually, talking about that, we're going to do some show matches again next week.
Oh, okay.
The date will be announced real soon. Will be fun. Should be another fun night of StarCraft.
Good stuff, good stuff. Is Mr. Merlot involved?
Of course he is.
Of course.
Yeah, after he has overdosed on his Heroes of the Storm passion, he's going to go to rehab, which is SC2 for him.
I mean, on the plus side, at least he's cast ZvT today, so he's okay, kind of.
Really? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing, yeah.
Well, he should be an expert in that department.
Yeah.
When behind, go there too. But Todd, we haven't even started this Heroes match yet. Doesn't matter, they're behind. They need ZvT.
Yeah, it's fun because actually a lot of the people that play him are normally quite ahead because they're pretty good, and he's pretty good, so anyway. All right, so let's see how Mr. Snoot's going to play us out. He actually went for 3 hatcheries pretty darn fast off the back of all of this, despite that drone being at the front there harassing away. So he's going to be in a very, very strong economical position. And this map isn't exactly a map where it's too difficult to even spread creep out.
Yeah, he of course saw as well that Uthermal went for a command center first. I think if he spotted anything else, if he would have seen a Reaper, you know, make its way across the map, he probably wouldn't have gone for the opening that he actually went for. But it makes sense for a Zerg player to try to go up to 3 bases as quick as possible, because you know those Hellions are going to arrive a little later. This of course does always make it a little more difficult, because you know it's very easy to defend 2 locations with only one entrance against some Hellions, and it becomes a lot harder when you spread yourself thin over 3 potential areas where Hellions can sneak in and try to attack. And I kind of wonder if Uthermal is going to take a suicide approach with his Hellions and just try to take as many drones with him to the grave as possible, or if he's just going to play this very conservative and just deny a couple of creep tumors and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's why it's important for the Zerg to bring down this kind of small tower thing over to the right-hand side.
Cool tower, James.
I knew you'd do it.
Cool tower.
So you can actually potentially even trap those Hellions in if they don't realize that those are down at the very beginning when they actually loop around.
Yeah, most of the time they will. Like most of their players will first check those cooling towers on the bottom side of the ramp, and then he will see that they have indeed been knocked down. And you want to be very careful, because mistakes like that are very unforgiving, especially in this matchup. If you open up with 4 to 6 Hellions and you just don't do anything with them and you give away all map presence, all map control, that's just not a spot you want to be in, especially not against someone like Snute, because he knows what to do with freedom.
Well, they're going to poke on up. I don't want to go too much further, that's for sure. And just dart right back on out. We're waiting for the more Hellions to come along. Armory has actually been added off the back of this, so that's where it starts to get a bit dodgy for Snute.
It's very funny, by the way, because during the map veto process, these two boys were having a little bit of fun with each other. As Snute vetoed Vani Research Station, and then Uthermal was like, "Oh, what a pity! You were not looking for a replay of your game against Happy." And Snute just made a big smiley face.
Not so much. Not so much. Full gas has been taken, actually, off the back of all of this as well. So his economy is going to be absolutely flying. Is it 60 workers already before the 8-minute mark?
It's actually so insane, because every now and then I go like Nexus first as well, and of course for Terran it's the same if you go Command Center first. And then it's like, yeah, I'm going for a good economic opening, but you give Zerg so much freedom that your economic opening becomes not all that economic anymore, because Zerg just produces workers so much quicker than any other race out there. Right now, Snute is 30 workers ahead. Like, if I'm Uthermal right now, and I fly over this base, and I see it's fully saturated, I see the base, it's like, man, I really need to do something over here. I need to do some serious damage, otherwise this is not going to go well for me.
Well, 2 Hellbats have morphed in the main base with those Marines as well. Going to gun down this Queen very, very quickly, deny those drones from doing any more work here. Don't forget the 4 Hellions at the front as well that could try and dive in. So if he overcommits to this position, he might be able to do something there as well.
Oh, and he wanted to walk up that ramp like you mentioned, but actually now he just sees for the first time that his cooling towers have been knocked down. And that's going to significantly slow this down. I think it would be much better for Uthermal to just drive them up and then morph them into Hellbats. Of course, you take some free hits there, but it does speed up the entire process so much. And
he hasn't really killed any workers off at all just yet. These Hellbats, the Natra of third base even, are doing okay, killing off some Zerglings, but Banelings are going to clean up for the main base.
I don't think that was good enough at all for Uthermal. I mean, he's still down 18 workers. Of course, a lot of mining time has been lost for Snute, so it wasn't like he did absolutely nothing over there, but I don't think that is what he was hoping for, and he made a big mistake not checking if that cooling tower was knocked down or not, because now he walked those Hellbats up to the north side, and then he had to walk them all the way around, and Hellbats are pretty damn slow.
Well played out crisis management by Snute, just to be able to react to all of that at the same time. Slightly supply blocked, though, at the moment, he is. So he's going to have to wait a good 20 or so seconds before he can get out of that.
Jinxing him, Kalaris.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't be doing that. Spire.
I call match fixing. Kalaris keeps jinxing Snute.
I do what I can. I do. They have to have some way of doing these things, I guess, right? Well, for now, +1-1 on the way as well for Snute.
We see a second factory being built, but of course still the majority of the focus is going to be on bio for Uthermal, as he is a bio player pure saying. I think if there was one mech map out there where he would have potentially played mech, it would have probably been Echo. I see Bunny, for instance, play mech quite often on this map, while on other maps, of course, Bunny is much more of a bio player than a mech player as well.
That's a lot of Banelings morphing him. He's going to go up to about 23 very, very quickly. And from that point on, with a 2-2 on the way as well, this Lingbane Muta that he's going to have is going to be really powerful.
And a cute little wall off over there for Uthermal. It looked like Zerglings were able to squeeze by on the left side of the missile turret, but they were not. Got stuck, so now whenever he lowers those depot, that's the only way things can get in and out. Well done.
Nice stuff, nice stuff. But this is still, you know, all of the aggression not doing anything earlier on has given Snute free reign of having full control of the map, and his side of the map especially.
Yeah, Uthermal's really going to have to make the difference here in the engagements. He's going to have to split phenomenally, maybe hope for a couple of lucky Widow Mines connections here and there. Snute tried to hit the jackpot over there with 2 random Banelings. Oh, wow. What a scan.
He saw them actually burrow with the medevacs, so yeah, he was okay. He was okay. But he does know also now that burrow is in play, which is very important for him to actually have to deal with. More banelings morphing in here. This is quite the swell of banelings and zerglings that he can send forwards. He loses a few of them, but not too much, and one of them actually sneakily burrowed while that was going on.
Yeah, I don't think he saw that.
Oh, it's very hard to keep track of when things like that happen, especially when Snute does
I didn't even see it, James, and I'm not even playing this game.
Well, Uthermal spread himself out. If he could get 2 banelings to burrow in that position, nice scan, cleans that up.
2, of course, would be a lot sicker. A couple more Widow mines on the way. He's going to have to burrow these mines real quick. Ends up losing one of those mines in the process. I think Snute is going to try to counterattack with a couple of Zerglings, and the depots were down. So that's going to really mess Uthermal up and will probably force him to make an overcommitment if he wants to do something about this fort base. But he definitely doesn't want to do that right now because he has to be careful. Snute just has a ridiculous amount of units.
Very, very nicely done. And he's got the Mutalisks out as well to try and complement this. With the extra Banelings morphing in, he should be able to shut this down. That's quite a lot of Banelings he has here. 32 in total with the Lings now having been pushed back. They're actually coming in from the backside here to try and soak up some of those Widow mines and absolutely crush the army. Snute, he's on the warpath.
Snute is in a phenomenal position now. Took that fort base, never really lost any drones whatsoever. Still on 74 workers, was able to do a small counterattack as well. Has to be careful, those mines!
Ooh.
First one.
Not doing a whole lot. There's still a lot of Banelings left here, but he's going to have to pull back for now. Doesn't have enough of this. He left some 3 Banelings.
I don't think he saw that. Like, I seriously don't see it. I only see it when, you know, all the other units are gone. It's like, hey, there are a couple of Banelings over there. So I really don't think that Uthermal saw that either. Oh. But he might actually throw down a scan like at the edge.
Well, wow. Yeah, he tried to build a supply depot on top of it and then he couldn't do it. So, like, oh, they're okay then. But you've got to be so fearful in a Terran's shoes when your opponent keeps doing this, because it can be very difficult to spot in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, a lot of players often, or a lot of people on the Battle.net forums or on Reddit have often thought, like, on moments like this, isn't it worth getting a Raven? And just think, like, it really sucks for a Terran to throw it on a starport, get a tech lab, then build a Raven. What if you lose the Raven? Do you have to do the same thing all over again? It's just not something you really, like, can do very quickly. And also, it takes like 60 seconds to get that Raven out, and that is a lifetime in SC2 high level.
And Ravens aren't exactly that quick, so if you're to retreat out of a space quickly, protecting it is a pain. But anyway, another command center is going down whilst this assault is going on. How much does he have? 29 Banelings at the moment. Not all of them here, because we have a lot going for a counterattack. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, Snute has to be a little bit careful. This counterattack looks relatively promising, but he needs to do some serious damage here because he lost his fort base during all of this. Uthermal getting that fort base actually really surprised me with the way that this game has opened up. Of course, Snute's counterattack is doing a little bit, but it's really not doing game-ending damage. It's not like he has ravaged an entire mineral line or something. He has killed a couple of supply depot and a couple of reinforcements, but that's it. I don't feel like that was good enough for Snute. He needs to do more.
Oh, gets himself a medevac. The rest have to boost on out. But yeah, if it... Oh, what was that?
Marauder.
Oh, okay. I don't think he can continue pursuing on as he is doing right now. 2 Banelings! Oh! Okay, so they don't get as much. There was a lot of Marauders above that instead of just Marines alone.
Still though, with the way that this game has opened up and the great economy that Snute had, I really feel that Uthermal deserves a lot of props for the way that he's hanging in there like a champ. Even taking that fort base, that's really going to make his life a little bit easier. Of course, because Snute was so rich, he was able to sneak in a hive all along, and he has his Ultralisk Cavern on the way right now. So that is something that Snute can eventually fall back on, especially since he's getting +3 armor already. He's not going for +3 attack. I think he's a little bit too worried about that because he's just not that rich right now. So well, now he's starting it after all.
Snute was selecting this one Baneling that's just on the edge of this scan. So unlucky for Uthermal. Whoa. There's no way that he didn't see those 3 Banelings on the right. I don't know. Maybe not.
He's just going to avoid them.
Yeah.
Uthermal has been forced to scan pretty much like non-stop throughout this entire game. I don't think he's been able to throw down a single Mew over the last 2 or 3 minutes. Snute again is going to try to counterattack. Like, I kind of like the counterattacks, but sometimes you have to, you know, be very careful that you don't get too overeager, that you don't get carried away by the idea of counterattacking. This is a promising one though, and it's going to force Uthermal at least to retreat, and it will keep Uthermal very far away from this base at 3 o'clock. And that is of course what Snute wants, because Snute wants to get some Ultralisk out there.
I borrowed 3 of these Banelings as well.
Oh,
and he's going to be able to do quite a bit of damage.
Snute has played great StarCraft over here. And Uthermal is still in this game, though. I definitely don't think he's down and out. But he doesn't have a fourth command center, and the way that this game is shaping up, I have the feeling it's going to be so difficult for him to actually get a fourth command center. The good news, though, for Uthermal is that at least his Marauder count is very high already. Let's take a look at how many Marauders. He has 23 Marauders currently. Throws down a scan, spots baiting. No, 2 more! No!
Okay, well, still not that many Marines. I think having this many Marauders is actually helping out that.
Yeah, Snute probably wants to stop doing the barrel banings against this super Marauder heavy Terran that Uthermal currently is. Uthermal would love to pick off that fourth base. If he's somehow able to get that, you know, that would really bring him back into this game and might even say he's going to be ahead. I mean, he's still up in army supply. He's actually up quite a bit. He's up 30-40 army supply, sniping this fourth base again, this time in a different location. That is just great news for him.
Really well played out game from both sides, to be honest. But then, you know, Snute, unfortunately, let's see for him how all the rest of the engagements didn't exactly go 100% his way. Now let's see what he's bought himself, because he's bought himself these Ultralisks with the time and investment that he's had behind this. Can they make the difference?
The counterattacks were great, but it never really snowballed out of control, and I kind of felt that Snute got carried away by counterattacking. Well, if he would have fought straight up, I think he would have been able to clean the army up of Uthermal more than once. Snute's putting himself in a very awkward position now. He's probably wondering, what is the best way for me to engage this army? Obviously, Echo is kind of tricky when it comes to that department because of all the ramps and cliffs we got over here.
So many Marauders. You were totally right on that call, because right now, I'm not sure these Ultralisks can do anything. They were already hard counted before they were even out into the game, unless he gets a brilliant surrounding gauge.
Hold those mines. The flanking 2 mines from the north side. Snute is going to decide to go for it. There's still a couple of mines in the mix. These Ultralisks lose HP so quickly. Snute was never really able to get up to like a healthy queen count as well. He's throwing in a few Mutalisks now, which actually don't mind that much because Uthermal just barely has any Marines, so you may as well make a few Mutalisks.
Rolling on forward still of the Banelings here to actually try and connect with as many of these Marauders as possible. While the Ultralisks, a few of them are still alive at the back, but the Marauders can kite for a long, long time here. It's up to actually, you know what? The Zerglings are making quite the difference.
Zerglings are super good against Marauders as well. And Solly supplies heavily swinging into Snute's favor. Uthermal now down all the way to 90 supply. Like the Marauders were good for a very long amount of time. Now Mutalisks show up as well. And Solly, Uthermal has lost pretty much every single fighting unit that he has. But, of course, Snute is back to 3 bases as well.
And how many Mutalisks does he have? 13. There's only 1 Thor round. 7 Marines are in production. That was actually quite a good volley onto those Mutalisks. But the 3rd base is completely exposed here.
He does have a 4th command center, which I didn't even know about. He can't afford to lose it, though. I mean, I guess eventually he could float over his main orbital command if he truly wants to. Very scrappy game right now, where all of the units are extremely important. One Widow Mine can definitely change the outcome of this game, especially if it's a very juicy one and a bunch of Mutas. Snute is trying to replace his 4th base, so from this point on, he's going to have to buy a lot of time for himself. I like small things like this as well. The Burrowed Zergling, nice, force out another scan, you know, just do anything to slow your opponent down and buy time for your own 4th base. It's really cool stuff.
Forcing a scan here in this kind of situation where you just don't have that much minerals at all is quite deadly indeed. And it costs what, 25 minerals, not much at all. Mutalisks are actually going to snipe out some of these Widow Mines for the cost of a little bit of damage to them, but, you know, they can replenish that very quickly.
I really like the transitioning into Mutalisk. I think it's just so smart against someone who was as Marauder heavy as Uthermal was. It just makes great sense. Now he can force out a lot of Marines again, then eventually he could maybe transition back into Ultralisk, but I guess right now he just feels like he's not rich enough for Ultralisk, so you may as well just sing it out with the Mutalisk.
You very rarely see that Marauder heavy kind of style, and, you know, exactly the point that you're making, that's one of the reasons. Mutalisk can just come along and rain on your parade pretty easily, and don't think he's going to get the command center, but he's just denying mining anyway, and he's actually engaging the Marines, knowing that there's not that many of them. Perfect move, dive on top of the Thor, kill that off as well, and there you go, GG.
Wow, very cool game number 1 on Echo between these 2 excellent StarCraft players. Snute takes the lead 1-0 in this series, but he definitely had to work for it. And once again, I felt he was doing everything right in the start. I mean, like, his economy was just magnificent. Yeah. And he pretty much shot that first drop, that first aggression down. The 4 Hellbats in the 3rd base didn't really do anything. The drop in the main base, yeah, it forced drones to be pulled away, and a couple of the drones were not mining and stuff, but it was also not super effective. But I truly felt where things went wrong for Snute a tiny bit is all of his counterattacks. Like, some of them are really promising, But if you do like 3 or 4 counterattacks, you need at least one of them to really do some big damage, right? Like you need to ravage a mineral line, you need SCVs to be pulled and 2 Banelings to roll in, and we can all be like, oh, after he kills, you know, like 15 SCVs with 2 Banelings. But none of that happened, and then suddenly at a certain point, Uthermal was suddenly 30, 40 supply up, and after he sniped that fort base again at the 3 o'clock position, I was like, man, this kind of looks like Uthermal's game now, but very smart to transition back into Mutalisk, or was it the first time he made Mutas in this game?
I think he made a few.
No, yeah,
before.
he made a few
before,
yeah, and then he was relying on circling Banelings,
yeah.
and then he went Ultralisk, and then after he lost all the Mutas, he went back into Mutalisk. He's like, hey, you've got like 25 Marauders and 4 Marines, mate, and yeah, there was like 1 Tor in there, but still, it's like, it's a perfect scenario to go back into Mutas.
No.
Strategy being used in StarCraft 2.
Wow, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yeah, it was really, really cool by that Mr. Snute there. But still, valiant effort by Uthermal to hold on how he did. So I still think that Uthermal can tie this up and make a good fight out of it. But right now, Snute seems on the warpath. He seems like he really, really kind of wants to be back in a good swing of things, a good momentum.
Yeah, I do kind of feel like if you are Uthermal, you probably look at the game and it's just like, oh man, like I don't think I had to lose that. I think I was doing quite well. I was handling those counterattacks pretty damn well. I sniped the fort base. I sniped the fort base again. Like, how did I suddenly lose this, you know? Like, did I overcommit? Did I overextend? At a certain point, you know, it wasn't just the Mutalisk, it was also the Zerglings, which you pointed out.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Marauders, as great as they are against Ultralisk, and they're pretty damn good against Banelings as well, they're not that good against a big swell of Lings, and suddenly most of the Widowmines were gone, and then you can just run in with 60, 70 Zerglings, which a player like Snute can produce in no time, because he's always injecting anyways, and that really changed the dynamic of that entire battle as well.
Yeah, even if you've got, like, regardless of the Widowmines, even if you've got a good swell of Marines behind your Marauders, those Lings are going to evaporate and not even exist.
Yeah.
But not having that really causes issues. And it's actually rare that we've ever seen that situation happen in a long time in StarCraft, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. And like then you fall back to like the oldest RTS strategy in the book is like, my opponent has no anti-air. I'm going to go back into air. Like, it's so smart, but you know, it works. Yeah, it worked. Like StarCraft 2 is a game where often, of course, there's a lot of strategy involved, but most of the strategy that's involved comes down to the way you will execute a certain strategy. Because there are like 10,000 different ways you can open up with Zergling Banelings. There's 10,000 different ways you can open up with Blink Stalkers and stuff. There's so many different approaches to it. But like real switches like that is something that's like a little bit uncommon sometimes. Because more often than not, does it come down to execution than rather the actual strategy. But in this case, there was definitely a lot of strategy involved when it comes to the way that Snute picked his units in particular phases of this game. And of course, for Uthermal as well. And overall, there's a lot of cool play as well. And all the burrowed Banelings. It was cool. I was digging it. It was a very good game number 1. Lived up to the hype of a winner bracket final.
True, true. And now we move on to Inferno Pools, a map that Snute has picked once again. Not vetoed. So he's apparently seeming pretty comfortable on this map.
I mean, out of all the races, I've always felt that Zerg has the least reason to complain about this map. Of course, this can be a good map for Terran as well, because if you can start flying around with medevacts, like this is a map where I feel you're forced to play Mutalisk, because if not, how are you going to chase down like medevac drops? It's never going to end, especially against a player that's as good as Uthermal. So let's just go ahead and jump into game number 2, played on Inferno Pools. James, take it away.
All right, spot in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our blue Terran, representing the Netherlands and AT Gaming. It is Uthermal. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our red Zerg, even I should say, representing Norway as well as Team Liquid. It's Snute. Snute.
Now, what I always think is very fun, in the start of the game, when you see the APM of the players, then suddenly you see like 200, 300, and then sometimes you see 0 for like 20 seconds straight. No, yeah, Alfie as well, because he just doesn't like to spam. But now Uthermal as well, he had like 0 for like 10 seconds. I was like, he's totally sipping on something right now. You know, he probably just has a bottle of water or a Red Bull or anything like that. Because whenever a player completely takes his hand off the keyboard, he's doing something else.
You know, man. You just know at that point. So you can have a window into their lives just via the APM alone.
It's cool. It's like just like you just imagine Uthermal right now sitting in the Netherlands behind his PC, and then he's like, I'm gonna ask him after this game what he's been drinking.
All right. So
I don't know. I will only do it if he actually wins. Otherwise, it's like, hey man, I just lost the series, but what were you doing in the first 20 seconds of the game? He's gonna be like, Roddy.
It sounds better in my head of like, he loses this game. Hey, no man, I know you just lost. What were you drinking? And then it's like, wait a minute, what are you insinuating? But anyway.
He's like, you want to go for a best of 3? It's like, no, I think I'll pass, mate. I'm struggling against the mid-master Terrans on Europe. I don't think I want a piece of you.
Well, already Uthermal looks to have set himself up for a factory opener with the positioning of the barracks to eventually have the reactor there and then the old switcheroo. But what else would you go for on this map other than Hellions? It's pretty strong, pretty strong.
I really like the way that Snute did this. Snute didn't even see the SCVs with his Overlord, but the first thing he did as soon as the Overlord was just like peeking into the main base of Uthermal, he just clicked on the top mineral patch and then he saw some minerals were missing. Yeah. Like he just clicked on the mineral patch. He didn't even see an SCV because the SCV was bringing us minerals back. So right now he knows and Uthermal does not know yet. Yep. You know, things like that do matter because now we see that SCV on the south side of the map go all the way to the right bottom. It's going to take forever before Uthermal finds Snute. And I think, I'm not sure like how he is mentally, but I know in the past he's had a little bit of temper. But I know whenever I'm down in the series and it's like game number 1, you're just looking for a little bit of momentum. And then you're just like, of course I scout my opponent last, you know, like that's my luck. I never have any luck in my life. And if you would have seen that Overlord, then at least he would have sent it into the right direction immediately. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. It is a bit brutal on our port Terrans, especially against the Zergies that can hide that Overlord. Because obviously it has more vision than these ground units or ground buildings. But anyway, we do have that factory about to switch on over pretty soon. And Command Center has been started on the low ground by Uthermal, so he's not feeling too scared about much. But there are a few Zerglings on the way with speed.
Yeah, we saw that before. Back then he made 10, and I feel this time he's going to make more Kalaris because he's already making all of these links way before speed is ready, which gives me an idea that he wants to do nothing but produce links for a much longer period this time. And I think he's just going to try to overrun Uthermal with, well, actually, no, he's going back to drones, but he made more than before. Right? He made 14 this time.
That's quite a few. Yeah, there's quite a few.
And I just think like the timing is so, it's like a slow ling attack.
If he keeps them out of range, position or vision of the Hellions as they come out, because I don't think he has much information on what his opponent's doing as an opener.
I'm just so surprised by this because look at these Hellions. They're going, oh my god, the Hellion almost drove into a surround. Ooh. But these lings are pretty much dead in the water right now.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
Dead in the water.
Oh well.
You remember that song? It was Finland suggestion for the European Song Festival many years ago.
I do not remember that song. You sure know a lot of songs that I don't know. Well, here come the links. They could get this SCV. Is it going to finish? Oh, it finished.
That's really nice for Uthermal. That's all they wanted. Would have been very frustrating to still have, as Antanius likes to call it, the wrapping paper on it when it's like 100 out of 100, but it's not completed. It's like, oh, come on. Because then, you know, it takes 15, 20 seconds extra before you can start your orbital command. So Uthermal catching a little bit of a break there, and that's definitely going to give him some momentum that he needed, and it's going to forget about scouting into, or he's going to forget about scouting into the wrong direction at first. Now he's probably feeling quite good about this game. He's like, yeah, I just killed like 14 lings. Didn't lose anything. Life's good.
Is about to finish at the top, and these lings going to have to find another angle by which to actually go about their business. There's already a Baneling nest on the way as well, and sort of surprised that we didn't see the majority of this choked off just yet, and maybe the transition over to some extra gases here for Snute. I'm wondering what he's going to plan.
For a second I thought Snute was going to go for a Baneling attack, but now it seems like he's not because he's making more drones behind this. But this can be a game that Snute feels very good about so far, because on multiple occasions he has made quite a few links, and I feel like he's not achieving anything with them at all. And that can be something that has to make you very happy. And yes, I do agree with you, because it took a while before Uthermal even started some sort of wall-off in his natural, which almost gives me the idea that he gave Snute an open invitation, like, hey man, if I were you, I'd make a few more links. You know, and then like the Hellions will just be there, and you roast all those links, and the Zerg is like, oh man, why didn't I just make drones? I know I should have just made drones.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up a good point.
I like that move a lot. Very smart play over here by Snute, as he had a Zergling at the Zelnaga Watchtower. When he saw those Hellions move out, that's when he decided to send the other Zerglings in. But Uthermal is not, as in Dutch we say, wasn't born yesterday, as he has seen these tricks before. And he left 2 Hellions at home and a couple of Marines as well. So right now, if you take a look at the units lost resource tab, Snute has lost 28 units and he has killed 2. And one of them was at SCV that was building... yeah, and the other one was the SCV that was scouting. So one SCV was building a command center, which still completed the command center. This is not a good game for Snute. He has made 28 links and he has done absolutely nothing with it.
That's so sad there for Uthermal. He missed the drone heading over towards the goal base as he checked the goal base just seconds before it. So, yeah, currently he thinks there's no base there at the moment. But he's not being too aggressive with Hellions, actually. He's keeping them back. not really wanting to overextend. I think he understands that Snute is the kind of guy that will just look for a kill pretty quickly on this map if he can get it.
Yeah, probably, or maybe he just thinks of maybe it's going 2-base Muta, you know, because the only thing I've seen so far is a couple of Zerglings. I don't see it throw hatchery down, so maybe my opponent is just going 2-base Muta.
Yep, which is generally what I would anticipate if I was playing a Zerg on the map.
This is going to be such a powerful attack, by the way, and Snute is really going to have to get some miraculous Banelings, or actually he just needs Banelings, period. As he has 6 right now, that is at least good news for him. But 2 medevacs full of bio units flying towards his main base. He can also elevate a couple of Hellions in. The Overlord did spot this. So Uthermal has a pretty good idea if that's going on. He needs to focus fire those Banelings as quick as possible. And I think he's going to try to pick up a couple of these Hellions. He has Stim already, and these Banelings are slow. Normally Uthermal should be good enough to snipe these Banelings. Very cute little dance over here between both players, and he's doing a very good job. He's sniping out of them the Hellions maybe from the low ground. No, that's not going to happen yet.
Yeah, the Hellions from the low ground really help out. Even if he doesn't ferry them forwards, just the extra little firepower that he has there is very important. Being said though, a small counter-attack here from Zerglings. The Marines should be able to clean the majority of that up. Lings tried to wrap around on this full force, but there's no way they're going to engage that yet.
Uthermal doing a really good job and always leaving a couple of units behind to deal with small run-bys like this. Of course, you know, if that run-by was bigger, then he wouldn't have had enough. But he knows how this game has gone. He has excellent game sense. He's like, hey man, you made a couple of Zerglings early on. Now I'm putting pressure on you in your main base. I spot a lot of units. There's only so many units that Snute can possibly have on the other side of the map.
Good focus fire, good sort of step back, just making sure he can kill off those 2 Banelings. And then once again, another counter-attack here for Snute to try and pin this down. That, this time, though, doesn't have that many Marines to deal with it. And he leaves this door open, but there should eventually be enough to clean it up.
Hey, I think it's going to be enough. Once again, look at the supply, man. It's 57 army supply against 30.
Yeah.
I think Snute is going to lose his gold base over here. And with that, I almost feel he's pretty much losing the game. Like, how is he supposed to keep this hatchery alive? There's just no way. So now he's being back thrown into being a 2-base Muta player, while, you know, he's on 49 drones against the 47 SCVs of Uthermal.
It is a bit too much. It is quite a lot. I mean, these Zerglings, as well as the extra few Banelings that are rolling on forwards, are going to have to make big things happen back at home. Can they get onto the siege tank quick enough? No. Looks like there's too much reinforcement to help that out.
Yep, and of course you can put the SCVs immediately as well to mess with the AI a little bit of those Zerglings. I love that tank over here. That tank is like, guys, like on the north side of those medevacs.
Oh, that guy.
Guys, I feel like I'm kind of exposed. That tank is, burrowed Banelings getting a very good hit over there. That's going to make Snute's life a tiny bit easier. That's like Fury, man. Have you seen the movie Fury?
Fury. Is it the tank?
Yeah.
I've seen that movie. Yeah, I've actually seen something.
That was a pretty good movie, right?
Yeah, it was a good movie. I liked that movie.
Best job we ever had, James.
Best job we ever had, which is pretty much true for this job.
Yes.
So, yeah, killing off a few Marines there as well. He's tried to take a hatchery way up towards the top right-hand side here. And even going to work on some of these add-ons. So, Snute trying to get anything he possibly can, but holding off at the front has proved troublesome.
Yeah. I really like how much Snute is doing with so little. Like, he's really making plays. He's been in a pretty rough spot in this game. At least that's the way that I felt about it. But he's doing some serious work right now with these mulas. Picked up a tank, picked up a couple of those add-ons like you mentioned. And he still has like a couple of tricks up his sleeve as well with burrowed Banelings near the turret base of Uthermal. And let's not forget that Uthermal does not have a turret command center. So he's pretty damn committed to this attack. This has to pretty much work.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of minerals in the bank here for Snute as well, actually, now that I look at things. But can he deal with this? I think he doesn't even want to deal with it. He just keeps putting on the pressure with these units at the front. And he definitely doesn't have enough units back at home to hold off against this.
He's going to hope for, you know, he's going to maybe try to distract Uthermal, force Uthermal to look on the south side of the map. Like, this is a moment where Uthermal's probably paying attention to those Mutalisks, and now maybe on this moment Snute could try to engage his army on the north side. And what Snute is doing is he's also forcing Uthermal to keep a lot of units at home. So then if he brings these Mutalisks home, then he's going to have a much easier time cleaning up this army on the north side. But I say much easier, he's still down like 53 army supply, which, needless to say, is absolutely massive in this matchup.
Kills 1 or 2 of these Marines with this, but at the same time, he's naturally is under fire. It's under siege. 15 Banelings are morphing in. Where on earth are they? He absolutely needs those right now. He needs to somehow clean up this up, but actually there are small areas where these siege tanks are vulnerable, but he's not going to be able to exploit for a second.
Yeah, he really needs to pick them off because 3 tanks is just a little too much for Banelings to engage. Gets one of them before the battle starts, so that is good news. But now the reinforcements have arrived for Uthermal, because Uthermal was very well aware of the fact that Snute needed those Mutalisks at home, and he's like, well, fine, then I can bring my forces to the north side of the map as well. And Mutas are quick, but Stimmed Bio with Medivac is pretty damn quick too, and Snute is in a little bit of a pickle.
Yes, he is. Going to have to try and bust out of this somehow, but look at the pre-split from Uthermal. Very, very nicely done. Lings are going to flood on in, but there's a lot of firepower here. Here come the Banelings to the left-hand side. Doesn't even need to move his bio at all to really greet that. And, yeah, that is pretty much going to be the nail in the coffin here for Snute. He has to pull the drones off the line. The Mutalisks fall from the sky. Uthermal does well.
The Dashi strikes back. He's going to even it up over here in the winner bracket of the Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen Qualifier, as GG Well Played is called. And Uthermal makes it 1 apiece. Man, these games today have been really good, and I feel like all of the players that we've watched, at least, like the matches we've picked, they've all been so evenly matched. It's really hard to call in the start of the series who's going to win it. I guess only in our first one. What was our first series of the day? No, that was Uthermal against Lilbo.
Where I thought Lilbo was going to win.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have probably agreed with that as well. So I think we've done a pretty good job in picking matches.
Yeah, we've done all right.
Quite pleased with myself.
We've done all right. It probably all stems back to you waiting for Hearthstone versus TLO, because there was the potential we could have got other games.
Yeah.
But now, actually, now that I look at the other games, they wouldn't have probably been too bad either. Bunny Uthermal, for example, everyone would have pegged Bunny to actually win that one.
No, of course.
Targa Snute, yeah, whatever.
Like Targa Snute is great, but it happens like 74 times a year, like I mentioned before. They play. I even think they played against each other last week, maybe even yesterday or something. Like they've got like 3 Norwegian leagues, and then they've got like a couple of random lands, and obviously every single tournament ever, it's like Snute against Targa. Like if you want to ever like invite just like make a night of the worst show matches of all time, you should totally get Snute versus Targa just for the point there. Nobody like wants to see another. Like, you're gonna look it up, I guess, on the Legion. Like they have played against each other so much. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I just wanted to know when was the last time they played against each other.
See, it's yesterday. See, like it happens every single day. Oh no, that was today.
No. Oh, that was today.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, so it was about a month ago. But before, I mean, like the fact that they've played each other 21 times says enough.
Look at the map score. It's like 35 to 38.
It's pretty close.
And I'm sure that like doesn't even include everything.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Like.
Because there's probably like some regular Norwegian league in which they play against each other in the online part, and then maybe the offline part is included, but the online, like they play against each other so much.
Oh, all right, guys, I think we're actually going to go to a short break before we get into game number 3. Reason being is that Uthermal wants a little bit of a break before we do that. So join us after the break, guys, when we will have the conclusion to find out who is moving on to Shenzhen between Uthermal and Snute. All right, guys, welcome back. It's time to decide who is moving on to Shenzhen, as we have one more map to decide things, and it's going to be between Uthermal and Snute, of course. Let's just jump straight on in, actually, into the action, as we're going to be on Coda. And up to the top left, of course, we have your fellow Dutchman, looking pretty good so far. Gotta say, it is Uthermal.
Maruthermal, please.
Maruthermal. And then down at the bottom right-hand corner, we have our lovely little Zergy. It is Mr. Liquid Snute.
I must say it's been super fun so far, not only because our games have been good and the series have been good, but it's been a while since I had a day of casting like this, where I can just hop in from series to series, you know, like the WCS is great in its own way, but like every series has like a high build-up and there is a 5-minute break afterwards, you know, sometimes a break in between, and there is like pre-game analysis and there's an interview, and that is like very unique on its own way. But as a caster, I personally find this kind of stuff very fun as well, where you just bang, 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 series, and this really like reminds me of the old days when I used to work here in this building. And of course, like last summer, I had a little bit with Nate, where we did a couple of tournaments like this, and we had the Red Bull tournaments, which was a lot of fun. But it's been like 6-7 months since I've done something like this. I'm getting older, James. I feel like, I'm reaching a whole new part of my body where I had passion stored like this, but I just couldn't find it anymore. The opportunity wasn't there.
And now it's back.
Yeah, it feels great.
Resurfaced. I've got to kind of agree with that. They're very, very different days. For me, the WCS days, they're kind of like, they make me, because I'm normally casting almost every single series. So in between the games, I'm just sat here like, meh. And then when I'm not casting it, I'm just sat there, I'm just like, meh. Yeah. So I get really tired just sat there doing nothing. I would rather be actively always casting.
Yeah, that is actually true. And that goes for some events as well, where if they bring out a lot of casters and they ask me like, hey, would you do like the first series and then the 4th series and the 8th series, or would you rather do the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd? Like, I'd rather do the first 3 in a row.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can build up some momentum, you know, you can carry over, and then you can like maybe establish a little bit of banter, you know, some top quality banter with the boys, with the lads, maybe cheeky Nandos in between. But you know, it's fun to cast multiple series at once instead of just like sitting down, having like 18-minute anticipation for your best of 3 that then ends within like 19 minutes and then you're done for 2.5 hours. Like, I think this this kind of stuff is a lot of fun, especially when it's a day like this where all the games come in quickly and we just, you know, we're getting exploded over here with a lot of good games.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. We'll see now if Snute can once again move on to another Intel Extreme Masters.
Ooh, what is this?
What is going on? What did he do?
Rex number 2. There's a second Rex going down in the main base.
All right.
Is he going to build
Rex?
No.
Uh-oh.
No.
Uh-oh.
This is like all... We were talking about this, right?
Yeah.
Well, that Vani game, you know, between Snute and Happy, where, you know, we joked about that Commencent being off place. Like, imagine if that's like the biggest mind game of all time. So he is taking a refinery over here, but I kind of feel that is like the type of refinery you want to take in case an Overlord peeks in. I'm very curious to see where Uthermal was going to take this.
I think
it could also just be like Marauder Marine opening.
Well, if he hits this pretty hard, it might be reading into how Snute likes to play this, because he always sends out the drone early so that he can spot if it's a command center. Then from that point on, he takes triple hatchery and then just feels the safest person in the world, right? This is really going to throw a spanner in the works, and it's going to hit a whole lot harder than Snute is anticipating.
Very cool over here. I like it a lot, switching things up a little bit. That Overlord is making its way over to the main base of Uthermal, and it's probably going to click on this refinery immediately, because that's just the type of play that Snute is. And Snute will then immediately be able to identify, it's like, hey, I wasn't born last night. I know this build ain't right. That is a Chris Brown reference, but he uses different words, Claris.
Okay, okay.
I feel like I'm brightening your world over here.
I'm not sure who Chris Brown is either. Wait, is he a comedian?
No, no.
Damn it. There's somebody near that name. Anyway, all right, so yeah, actually this Overlord's going to see everything. Oh my god. Oh my god!
Yep, and of course, you know, those queens are taking care of that bunker as well, going down on the south side. This is not good news over here for Uthermal. I guess by now Snute will pretty much figured it out already, but now all these queens are already over here in position. They've shot down the first bunker, which I always feel is the most important one. If you shut down the first one, it's always going to be a lot easier to shut down the second one. And now Snute immediately is like, hey, this guy's crazy. I'm going to throw down a bailing nest, 14 additional Zerglings on the way. He has to be a tiny bit careful that he doesn't get too carried away. And I kind of feel that is what's happening over here with that triple spine crawler. While Uthermal's already given up on this. He's like, all right, you know, it was fun while it lasted. Didn't work. Throwing down another command set. I'm going to try to sing this one out. If Snute lets all 3 spine crawlers finish, and I kind of feel like he did because he already had one finishing up, I think he's going to cancel them. Like, I would really like to
Yeah.
see Snute cancel those spines. I think it's unnecessary.
I think he does too. Like, with the position that his army's in, this aggressive stance, I don't think there's too much need for him to let these finish up. But I think he might have forgotten about them at this point. We should ask him afterwards, actually. That'd be very interesting. If he wins, that is.
Well, he's gonna actually. That's a really good move out of here by Uthermal. That's something. That's this game is just wild. Like, there's no way that Snute expected Uthermal to move out, because by normally, you know, by now Snute should have Zergling speed. It's 7 minutes and 50 seconds into the game, and normally you don't send out like 4 or 5 Marines because they can just get surrounded by Zerglings, especially when you forced out that many links. And I guess that's why Snute was morphing those Banelings so closely to the ramp. He's like, there's no way this crazy Terran is gonna move out right now. Then he did.
Well, now those 2 spine crawlers actually might come into effect.
Yeah.
So they'll be quite useful indeed up there. And at the same time, another one needs to reposition itself. A few Banelings are going to morph in. But the thing is that these Marines do not have stim. So they can't actually move anywhere near this position at all at the moment.
No, he can fight that amount of Zerglings if he's in a good position, of course, but there's no way he can also fight a Queen and a Spine Crawler during all of that. So Uthermal is just going to back off for now. The good thing is that that first Overlord that Snute sacrificed, that is normally the Overlord that identifies what's going on a little bit later. And I don't think that Snute was aware of how quickly Uthermal dropped that 3rd command center. Like, I don't think he expected that.
Yeah, I would say so as well, especially since he's also going to go down on land.
I mean, look at the worker count. Sweet Jesus, I wasn't even paying attention to that. Uthermal's up 10 workers.
So many lings.
You remember that other game where like Snute was up 30 workers?
Yeah. This completely flips on its head. He's made so many links that haven't really been that useful, but that being said, if he morphs in a lot of Banelings now...
Yeah, I mean, he's going to try to go for a big surround on all of these Marines here, but this Marine count is quite high. Okay, a lot of those Marines are very exposed right now. They have to be close together, man. Marines are like comrades. They have to hold each other's hands.
Yeah.
Since they didn't do that, now I feel like Snute is in a phenomenal position to do a crazy amount of damage here. He's going to bust these deeper. No, he needed one more Baneling.
Oh, dear me. He's only... I think this Lings should be able to... Oh, very, very close to being able to get through that last one. He only had 5 Marines at that point. If he'd have got through, it would have been GG.
Yeah, I know. That's almost game over. Look at this one SV. He's like, guys,
no,
I'm the wrong side of the wall. No, have my minerals. No.
He like tosses them up. Like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. All right. Well, that's a lot of Banelings now morphing in. I think he does smell blood in the water. Scan drops. Yeah. He's got 10 Marines out at the moment to try and deal with this.
Okay, it's going to be extremely difficult, but don't underestimate a Terran that's as good as Uthermal with a couple of Stim Marines. He has his first Widow Mines on the way as well. This is a massive commitment for Snute, and I think Uthermal might be able to defend against this.
That Widow Mine, how much is it going to get done? Oh, it didn't really get too much to hold to these.
Oh, the SCVs!
Oh, God damn.
Okay, well, he was ahead in workers.
And now?
In the previous lifetime. But still, though, like, he's still in this one, Claris. He's down 17 workers. Yeah, that stings a little bit. But Snute doesn't even have a Spire yet. There is a triple orbital after all. I think he can just use this orbital as part of the wall right now. Like, that was bad for Uthermal because he lost a ridiculous amount of SCVs because all of them were super clumped up. That is just one of those moments where you know the car crash is going to happen and you just close your eyes. You're like, okay, you know, this is inevitable right now that this, you know, that these units will connect. But I don't think it's down and out yet for Uthermal. Not at all even. Look at these upgrades. It's kind of even, but still.
Well, 1-1 syncing up is going to make the drop a little bit more potent, to say the least, if the Lings are able to get in the right position. So it doesn't benefit the Queens, so it will be able to help out as he's separating up those guys into gas, getting it going.
That's a good point. The Queens do get armor, though.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to try and drop on him, see what he can do. Already the stutter step begins before he's dropped all of them, so maybe get a few drones here and there to start things, but cannot linger.
Well, matter of fact, at the same time, there's a small drop in the main base as well, James. But Snute, of course, good enough to have a couple of Zerglings in position. Still, I felt like those Marines traded okay-ish, and of course it forces Snute to back off as well, which allows Uthermal to get everything back into place, and he's going to try to re-establish that 3rd base that he had once upon a time a dream of.
Yeah, how much is income-wise?
It was so unfortunate for Uthermal how that mine shot up those units that ran up the ramp. Like, if that mine would have just shot at the clump of Banelings, it would have all been very, very different, to say the least. Yeah. I mean, right now, still, though, look at the army supply. It's 57 against 33. Like, losing the FEVs, like I said, it hurts, but it's very deceiving. That doesn't mean that it's the end of the game, and sometimes it's even the opposite. The Terran is actually still ahead. And Snute needs to get a couple of good Baneling connections here. Baneling speed did finish up, though, so that is sort of his saving grace right now.
Going to separate some of these banelings forwards. See what we can clean up with a few Zerglings. Actually, some friendly fire. And once again, separates up a few more. To these well-split Marines, as he has more in reserve. But I'm not sure if that's going to be enough in reserve to try and overflow.
Mines. Snute. Snute, very good. Very good job there, splitting up his Zerglings, making sure that they don't get the monster hits off, and he's able to pick up those 4 or 5 mines and also forces Uthermal to back off for now.
It was quite costly there for Uthermal, actually, considering those mines. I mean, he didn't really sacrifice that much to detonate the charges.
No, not at all. And of course, he's giving up his position as well, so now he's going to have to start his little building process all over again. Throws down a scan, sees a lot of those banelings morphing. There's only like 2 or 3 additional banelings. Snute is going to try to sing this one out, but Marines have so much DPS, they will probably be able to cancel like all of them.
Oh, dear me, needs a few more. Oh, okay, so he's morphing a lot in the back as well. And
yep, look at Banelings towards the third base, by the way. Banelings towards the third base.
Okay, so basically he needs to do a lot of damage right now because he just lost another. He's down to, well, he lost 36 workers. How much well can these Banelings do? They actually do enough. There's not that many Marines left over here.
Oh, and he burrowed 2 Banelings in the middle line, and I wonder if Uthermal saw that. Imagine if he like sends like 18 SCVs over there, and these the Banelings are able to blow up. Man, I'm just losing it because there's just too much happening in this game, Claris.
Yeah, Widow Mines at the front again, trying to just kind of cordon off this area. Here come the Lings.
I'm getting older, guys. Go easy on me. These games are way too action-packed.
Yep.
Closing in on my 30s as well.
Uthermal's going to have to try and do a bit of damage here. This is almost sacrifice. He needs to pick up and get out of there, though. He's got so many medevacs. Actually, the majority of his army supply is medevacs.
Yeah, and he's making 2 more. He's going up to 14 medevacs.
Oh my god.
That Dutch healthcare still going very strong.
I think he killed some more workers, actually. I think he killed about 6 more workers in the mineral line over towards that third base, thanks to those 2 Banelings. But we're keeping an eye on the main action here at the front. Oh, 4 Banelings, so you got like 2 or 3 Marines and a Widow Mine for that. That's fine trade.
The thing is, it's really good whenever like a Baneling blows up in a Marine, he's able to heal it up pretty much all the time. So sometimes like a single Marine is able to soak up 2 Banelings, something that's normally, of course, unimaginable. But if there's just a little bit of time interval between the connections, I mean, there is a medevac here for every single Marine.
Yeah.
That is excellent healthcare.
That is very good healthcare, keeping them alive, keeping them good to go. And right now, they're not worried about anything. Picks up again, has to get out of there.
No.
Extra soak it up.
Look at these Banelings just idling next to Widow Mines. They laugh in the face of danger.
Yep. They do what they can. Let's see now if he can chase on back.
Absolutely phenomenal job here by Snute, though, hanging in there. It's so hard when you're under so much pressure. And during all of that, he was also, you know, like slightly occupied with that counterattack. And then later on with that detonation where he got a few more SCVs. Crazy game number 3 over here. We are playing a best of 3, by the way, for the people who have just joined us. And the winner of this map will advance to the Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen. Banelings!
Look at the foresight of Uthermal, knowing that the counterattacks could come from that direction once again.
Didn't probably, man, I cannot, every single time Snute burrows Banelings, I think I've caught it once. All the other times, it's actually like the only time I see it is after the battle. It's like, he burrowed 2 again. I've only seen it once in Echo, like I must be getting really old. I also haven't ate anything, so maybe my brain is just slow today.
It is very difficult to notice. Yeah. Those burrowed, you should notice.
Yeah, I did notice that one. That one was in plain sight, but still.
Let's see how many more does he have. 12 Banelings at the moment, 13 extra morphing in. He loses himself Imulus. He's actually supply blocked here. He tries to charge in.
Oh, those Widow Mines did a lot of damage to all those medevacs. If that happens once or twice again, there's a good chance that like all of those medevacs are going to die. Banelings can try to roll forward. Mutalisk can start working. I guess Snute doesn't know what we know. And there are no more Widow Mines there, Snute.
Yeah.
It's happy hunting season.
Oh, dear me. All those medevacs need to get out of there as quickly as possible. He can chase back. Even with the Lings on the floor, he can chase back, I feel. But he's deciding to not go too far in sphere of the reinforcements.
What a game. What a series between these two. Man, I'm also so proud of Uthermal. Of course, like I'm a little bit biased here. I love Jens, though. Like I've always been good friends with Snute, but it's really nice to see a Dutch player, a Dutch Terran player, you know, reach this level. Of course, we've had Grubby in the past. We've always had Red holding it down for the Zergs, but I don't feel like we've ever had a Terran like this, other than, you know, Sir Vioa in the very old days of StarCraft 2, but I don't think he was ever even playing at this level against one of the absolute best Zergs in Europe, maybe the best Zerg in Europe.
I mean, foreign Terrans hardly ever really gain too much traction, right? It's very difficult for them. And
drop in the left bottom as well during all of this. So Uthermal's just all over the place right now. Once again, living up to his namesake, Maru Thermal, as at the same time he's dropping the main base as well. Snute did have a spine crawler there, so that's going to buy a little bit of time for him and allows this queen to start chipping away at this medevac. But still, Uthermal is playing a great game, and of course, same can be said for Snute over here, who has been under an immense amount of pressure, but has never really fallen apart.
And not too much. He knows that there's an army waiting for him at the front of his base as well, so he's going to try and greet that eventually. As I say, a huge army. It's just medevacs with a few Marines.
I mean, it is a massive medevac army. He has 14 medevacs.
Yeah, he does. It's kind of funny to see. I see it on the. You see, look at it in the minimap. Like, wow, that's a big army.
Yeah.
And I go to it, I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
I mean, like, there are a lot of Marines on the north side of this map as well, and he's still doing a great job. The upgrades are even right now. Snute has finished up for Uthermal as well. I feel like as long as there's no creep reaching the middle of this map, I think Pig made a very good point about that at the WCS broadcast. I feel like in this map, it's key for Zerg to get creep near the middle of the map. And right now, it's not even covering the top side of this ramp, which is going to allow Uthermal over and over again to put himself in good positions with his Widow Mines, and makes it so hard for Snute to engage his army. He's just going to roll up this time. Got a couple of reasonable connections there, but I don't think it was good enough.
I'm offering a lot more Banelings in at the back here, and looks like he's going to chase him away for now. How many Widow Mines are there? There's 6. Okay, so he does still have quite a bit of power behind that.
There are 18 Mutalisk as well, so Uthermal has to be very careful. Once again, a lot of Zerglings on the left up side of them. I'm going to try to swing in once again. There is no bunker over here. There is no Marines. Uthermal is a very aggressive Terran and doesn't really care a whole lot about his defenses in general. And this time, I mean, like, this is kind of what Snute tried on Echo, but it's very easy to wall off an Echo. Of course, you know, Coda is a different ball game. Again, oh my god, he almost gets the orbital!
Oh. Actually, those 2 Banelings,
if he lands it, Mew. Oh, look at the Zerglings killing the Mew!
Oh, nice.
And he's gonna kill the second Mew as well. The orbital, no, it will live. Oh my god.
Okay, close.
What a game.
If he landed, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah,
Whatever. So, also he burrowed a Zergling at the natural.
Did he kill that orbital?
I think he didn't. I think he might have flown away. I'm not sure.
No, he must have killed it.
Oh my god.
There's no orbital on the natural anymore.
Oh my god. Anyway, also I noticed that he didn't get drilling claws actually with this, so his Widow Mines take a little while to set up, but you know, once he does actually get set up, he's more than fine.
Yeah, he doesn't have a tech lab, right, on any of his factories? Oh, he had it. Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's one of
oh, you're right. That's a big mistake then, because there's a reason why he got the tech lab.
This was ages ago. These 2 Banelings were ages ago. Oh, not too bad.
Oh,
not too bad.
Snute is such a monster too. I can't. What a great game by Snute. I've really been blown away by the way that Uthermal has been playing it, but the fact that Snute has just been hanging in there like an absolute champ and is now still just putting himself in a good position, finding openings over and over again, shutting down drops. I'm amazed. Like, this does not feel like a 4 in SC2 match to me. I think they're both playing great StarCraft.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is a brilliant match. 16 medevacs. Oh, Mutalisks, be careful.
Right now we're looking at 49 Banelings, by the way. So unless Snute completely butchers the next attack, I think he's going to be in a great position.
That's a lot of Banelings.
And he's going to start working on these rocks because he wants to swing in from both sides. Of course, Banelings are like mayonnaise on a burger. It's better on both sides.
But not too much of it. That's the thing.
Now
that it's got 49 of them, I'm not sure. Well, actually, it's never too much to have enough Banelings, really. You can do quite a lot. You can do quite a lot with these Banelings. And let's see how much you can do.
Man, this has been so... I would be so stressed out if I was playing this game. I'm just looking at it and I'm getting stressed.
Just lings everywhere. The Mutalisks were trying to fly into threaten as well. But the thing is that Snute has never really found the opportunity to encroach on the 4th base of Uthermal, which has been mining away pretty happily.
I should use Shift L real quick just to show the people like 170. Oh, maybe it doesn't work on your overlay actually. Oh, no, never mind. Anyways.
And another one.
Those mines. It's ridiculous. Just to give you guys some details, 342 Zerglings have died, 176 Marines have died, 75 Banelings have died. It's crazy. It's been a bloodbath.
Yeah, totally. And what are we at? We're not even at the 30-minute mark. So, it's being...
Left bottom, another drop over here by Uthermal. There were a couple of Zerglings left behind by Snute, and it seems like it was just enough. Now the Mutalisk flock will be here to save it up and pick up that Widow Mine as well. Those 2 mines that did so damn well.
Yeah.
I mean, both players are just tricking each other with mines and burrowed Banelings in very random positions, and it's awesome to see. Same time, big fight over here in the middle of the map. Do we have burrowed Banelings? No, those are burrowed Zerglings. A little less intimidating, Colaris.
Yeah, just a bit. They'll sit around there and be cowering for quite a while.
118 supply against 116. Like, how is this going to end?
There's only 11 Banelings. And he doesn't have that much gas either. These 13 Banelings that are more morphing in are going to be absolutely important here in this fight.
Oh, look at all the Zerglings, they're so clumped up. There are a couple of Wintermines here in the mix as well, hoping for some friendly fire, but instead all of the Lings get picked off.
Oh no.
But the mutant numbers are so high.
Yeah, he's going to try and kind of ravage as much of this as possible.
Oh.
There's so many Marines coming in as well. Oh my god, all the Mutalisks end up falling. Uthermal, unbelievable.
Wow.
Able to hold on throughout this entire game long. He takes a massive supply lead.
Wow.
GG. Uthermal is #1 here in Europe, moving on to Shenzhen.
Wow.
Who would have thought it? If you looked at the lineup of this bracket, who would have thought it?
If you looked at the players that he defeated as well, like no one can ever say that Uthermal didn't deserve to win this Into Extreme Masters bracket. In the first round, he defeated Lilbao, the same player that defeated him in WCS Season 2 Qualifier, or Challenger, excuse me. In the second round, he defeated Bonnie.
Yeah.
You know, without a shadow of a doubt, the best foreign Terran that there is. He's definitely earned the title over the last, few months. In the semifinals, he defeated Harstem, the fellow Dutch Protoss, who had looked incredibly consistent and solid up to that point, at least against Zerg. And, Harstem is one of the best Protosses in Europe. Everyone knows that. And then in the final, he beat Snute. That is a godlike road.
Yeah, that's the dream for him.
What a wow. He arguably beat the two best Protoss players in Europe, and then he beat the best Terran and the best Zerg. It's wow, how much do you want it?
I know.
Well, a lot apparently.
Apparently we chose the right game at the beginning to then follow through Uthermal, who we saw a lot of so far today, who just had a bit. And the funny thing is in the chat before, he was like, can we do this quickly? I feel a bit sick.
I was actually talking with him in between the games as well, and he's like, oh yeah, damn it, damn public transport. I was supposed to get the train from Haarlem to Leiden. Those are the two Dutch cities, and it takes him normally 20 minutes. So he's like, the trains weren't riding, so I had to take a bus, and it took 1 hour and 5 minutes. So I arrived. He showed up at this qualifier 5 minutes before his first game. He didn't have any time to warm up. He said he didn't have any time to eat either. He probably ate during the Snute versus Happy series. But man, what a performance of this Dutch Terran player. I'm very proud of him. That's awesome to see.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from him. And that means now we guaranteed have only 2 more series left. And those 2 series are going to be Showtime versus Petit Drogo. Petit Drogo, who has gone through a very, very impressive run, actually, during this. Who has gone through, was initially eliminated down to the bottom.
Let's take a look at the bracket. Maybe we can bring it up.
Yeah, I think so. So as you can see here, Petit Drogo got knocked down to the lower bracket in the very first round and has come all the way back through Elazer, Guru, Targa, Harstem, and is here to play against Showtime.
That French PVZ, man. Baguette style. You don't mess with it.
And then one of those two has to go up against Snute at the very end.
Ah, so that's great. So we got a PvP and a PVZ.
Wow.
I'm loving life.
It's
a good day to be Roddy.
It's a good day to be Roddy. All right, guys. I think once again we're going to go to a break. So a big congratulations, firstly, to Uthermal. Brilliant stuff by him.
And what a run! Once again, there are many ways you can qualify for an event. Sometimes people look at a bracket as and then there's an upset on the other side of the bracket. But no, this is pretty much the hardest bracket when it comes to European players out there. He totally deserved this.
Definitely.
And I'm already stoked to see him in China. That's going to be great.
Yeah, it will be good. So when we're back, guys, we are going to have Showtime versus Petit Drogo, I believe, here for the Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen Qualifiers.